Everyone, welcome to our YouTube channel. Today we are going to discuss on DBMS, and our topic of today is Library Management System, which is LMS. This LMS is a comprehensive system designed to streamline library operations. It encompasses various features to manage books, users, and resources effectively. Um, Under this LMS, we have book borrowing return, borrow request, processing and approval, book pickup and return, overdue notification. The borrow request, users can submit borrowing requests through the LMS specifying the desired books. Then processing and approval, the LMS verifies users' details and then book availability, approving all the 9 requests based on defined policies. Book pickup and return. Users can pick up borrowed books at designated locations and return them within the set due date. Overdue notification. The LMS sends timely reminders to users about overdue books, prompting them to return them promptly. Then also under this LMS, we have book catalog management. Under this book catalog management, we have book metadata, search and filtering, catalog update. The book metadata, detailed information about each book is recorded, including title, subject, and more. Then search and filtering. Users can easily find books based on various criteria, including keywords, author, subject, and availability. Then catalog update. Detailed information about each book is recorded, including title, author, ISBN, publication date, and subject, and more. User management. Under user management, we have user registration, membership types, borrowing history, account management.
I'll be starting from where my colleague stopped. Usena Abdullahi, I'm by name Ehi Igojuju Edrin, reg number 18/53535D/6. Functional requirement under library management system. This document outlines the functional requirement for robust and user-friendly library management system. The system will streamline library operations, enhance user experience, and provide variable insights. User management. Under user management, we have user registration profiles, role-based access control, logic authentication. We have borrowing and borrowing returns. We have book request and reservation. Enable users to request or reserve books, notifying them when they are available for borrowing. We have loan processing, manage loan processing, recording the borrower's information, loan duration, and due date. We have automatic overdue reminders, send automatic reminders to borrowers about overdue books, including options to renew or return the books. Return processing, manage book returns, update book status, and handle any files or overdue charges. You have entity and relationship. This representation explores the entities and relationships involved in a library management system. By understanding the connections between users, books, and other library resources, we can design a more efficient and user-friendly system. We have under the user, we have user attributes, we have user rules, we have user relationships. We have book. Under the book, we have book attributes. Each book in the library system is categorized by attributes such as book ID, title, author, SMBN, publisher, genre, total copies, and available copies. We have book copies. Each book can have multiple copies, representing the different physical copies of the books available in the library. We have book relationship. Books are connected to users and other library resources, enabling users like borrowing, reserving, and returning books.
I'll continue from where my colleague stopped, from entity and relationship. I'm by name Bruce Ruben, 18/53239 D/6. Um, I'll start from database schema designs. Database schema design involve organizing data into tables, defining columns with appropriate data types, and establishing relationship between tables. This process ensures data integrity, efficiency, and easy of retrieval. We have the primary keys. A primary key is a unique identifier for each record within the table, in which we have the customer table, the product table, order table. In customers table is the primary key for the customer table could be a customer ID, and in product table, the product table primary key could be a product ID. Then the order table, the primary key for the order table could be an order ID. We also have the foreign keys. The foreign key enforces relationship between different tables, in which we have the customer to order, we have the products to orders. We now have the data types. Under data types, data type define the kind of data that can be stored in each column. And under data type, we have the column and the data type. We have the customer ID, in which the data type is int. We have the customer address, which is voucher, and so on and so forth. We have the constraints. Constraints are rules applied to data that ensure data integrity and consistency, in which we have the primary key constraints, we have the not null constraints, we have the check constraints. Under primary key, ensures that the primary key value is unique and not new. We have the specifics that contain columns that cannot be left blank or empty. Then under check constraints, we define the specific rules that data value must be adhered to, like restricting the range of values or ensuring a certain patterns. We have relationship. Relationship define how tables are connected to each other. We have one-to-one, we have many-to-many. Under one-to-one is assigned records in one table can be related to multiple records in another table. And then many-to-many records. Multiple record is one table can be related to multiple records in another table.
Good day, learners. I'll be continuing from where Rose Ruben stopped on. She talked about data schema design. I'll be talking about database table creations. This presentation will explore the fundamental concepts of database table creation, covering essential steps for designing and implementing robust and efficient data structures. Now, the first thing to understand is how to establish foreign key relationship. We have, in establishing foreign key relationship, we have to consider the data integrity, the relationship definition. You have to define the relationship and also validate the data. Diving into the creation of a database, that is, in creating a database, you are creating a new database that is not existing. To create it, there's a SQL which you have to follow, a syntax for creation, which has to do with create the database and the database name, which is library management system, as can be seen from the table. And then you query it and say, okay. By the left hand side, you will see the table that it will display for you. Then we also go ahead to design the database table creation. In designing table creation or database table creation, there are syntax that needs to be considered. The syntax is create table user. The create and the table has to be in keywords, in capital letters. They are keywords. So if you write them in small letters, the syntax will not run. So you need to be mindful of that. Now, in creating a table for user, you have to consider the user ID, the name, the email, the password, the role, and also the contact, each of these attributes has their own data types. You also go ahead to create table for book and borrowing transaction table using the same syntax that was used for the creation of table database. The same syntax where you have your create table books, also create table borrow transactions. Now, and then finally, you create a table for creating reservation table. We have the same syntax we have for find, for borrow book and everything. For the other ones, we also have create table reservation, which we have reservation ID, user ID, book ID, reservation date. The foreign key have to be stated and implemented, and also the foreign key for the book ID have to also be referenced.
I'm going to continue from where my colleague stopped, on which he talked about creation of tables. So I'm going to continue from insertion of data. So SQL can be used for the insertion of the data. Having creating table for user, now we are inserting the data for the user, of which we have the username, user ID, then email, password, role, and then contact number. Also, we also have for books. We have the book ID, title, author, ISBN, publisher, and so forth.
I'm Magakuka Lev, registration number 18/53816D/6. Following where my colleague have stopped, we have already created the table. So now we are going to insert the values. Where we have the fine. In the fine, we have the ID, the borrower ID, the transaction, the amount, the status. So we have So as the table has been created, now if you want to insert data into the table, the syntax is insert into borrow transaction. Then you add the user ID, the username, then the book ID, the borrower date, and the date for return. That's the return date. And also the transaction ID. Introduction into the index. Index is a powerful technique used to improve the speed and efficiency of data queries. It involves creating data structures that organize and sort data, enabling faster retrieval of relevant information.
Good afternoon. Just as my colleague have introduced as the introduction into indexing, the importance of indexing for querying performance, the syntax for create index, IDX user's email on user, and then we have create index, IDX books, ISBN on books, then it will link to the email ISBN. I think that's all.
Now, in this section, we're talking about SQL queries. SQL simply means structured query language, which is a powerful tool for interacting with databases. It enables users to retrieve, manipulate, and analyze data, providing valuable insights for decision making. On it now, we're talking about joining tables. The SQL for joining tables, we need to consider the inner join, the left join, and the right join. For the SQL joining tables, we have to join tables. We've created a table for user, for name, for book, for find and borrow transaction. So there's a need to query the database to join these tables together so that they can interact with each other. Now to do that, the SQL for that is select username, select username, user.name, comma, books.title, comma, borrow underscore transactions dot borrows underscore date, comma, borrow underscore transactions dot due slash underscore date, comma, then also have borrow underscore transactions dot find underscore amount from borrow transaction. So we are linking the tables of username, books title, so that the borrower can, a borrow transaction can be done querying the username or any of the username attributes, or like, I don't know if you understand the concept I'm trying to explain under structured query language. We said it's joining two tables or more tables together. For instance, where we have join user on borrow transactions dot user ID. What it does there is that it goes to the user and picks the user ID. Also, for join books on borrow transactions dot book ID, what it does is that it goes back to the book table and picks the book ID, where a user, you give a specific attribute or what you want it to what you are trying to query it, all right, that is it for this structured query languages. And also this slide also contains what I've spoken about in the last slide. For instance, as you can see from the table here, the output here, it's we have a title and then book ID. Here, note that the SQL given was select books.title. So we have title and book ID. Now, when you query it to borrow book, it will show that under the title that the Great Gatsby by also displaying the book ID. Also, it does that for the Catcher in the Rye, Pride and Prejudice. All right. Finally, this is the SQL entity relation diagram for the library management system, where each table is being linked to each other. There's a relationship between each table. Okay? We have one to many, and then also have many to many relationship, as can be seen from the entity relationship diagram. All right, we have defined, as you can see from the tables created, we have the find table, we have the user table, we have the reservation table. We also have the borrow transaction and the books table with their various attributes, and how each of these entities are being related to each other. And finally, we say thank you, Group 6. We are grateful for your time, for taking time to listen to our presentation. Thank you, and thank you.